Alright, hello everyone, how are you guys doing? Hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we are here with a different video. So this video will be going over the investments that I've told people to do in the past. There are 3 videos on it, the first one being from April 10th, second one April 18th, and third one July 10th. The July 10th items are going to be hard to try to, judge because really there's no way of knowing. We're only like 10 days past, and these are supposed to be like month-long investments for the most part. On top of that, I do have 3 items that I've mentioned in videos that I do remember because I personally were invested in them, and we'll go over how they did. So basically what this video is meant to do is to go back and see how these items have done, because with those videos basically all you have is just me showing someone an item, say like water runes, just saying hey, buy water runes, and then that's it. There's no follow-up to it. So I think this video will be really cool to go back and see how we've done as a community, and kind of just keep record of how that's going, so that people that join this community or join my community or whatever, people that join the channel in the future know what they can expect whenever I release these investment videos, because it is important to know, how someone's done in the past to know if you should invest in the future. Alright, so now to start, we will begin with the 3 items that I've told people during videos that I would be investing in. This was one right after the Zora update that I ended up selling before the hype. Now the reason that I ended up selling, and I'm not going to explain this for everyone, basically the reason I ended up selling early during my New with the Mill series is because I have to get a video out about once a week, and if I go 2 to 3 videos without any high level content because I'm, obsessed with this merch, I have to sell them, and sadly that was the case here. So basically what happened was around the time of the Zora, update, I ended up buying a lot of scales, let's just say, for about 117 GP per. I ended up selling them for about 120, so I was really happy with that. I mean, it was a 3 to 4 GP gain, but it wasn't anything great. But what I expected to happen did, and I had a huge debate with someone that I thought that they were going to hit 150, and what do you know, they're 150 right now. So basically at the time when I told people to invest, they were about 115 GP per one. They're 150 per one now. Obviously an easy to draw up win as far as that investment goes. Now the next one also has to deal with Zora. I never made a video on this, so I mean, this is kind of a trustworthy thing. I said this on stream, so I'll take credit for it. I messed this one up, guys. I messed this one up. Whenever the Zora update was nerfed, that basically, or the Zora teleports were buffed, I guess, in a way that they were dropped more from Zora. They dropped all the way to 13k at one point, and as you can see, I guess that was probably about when they were nerfed or buffed, and then after that, they dropped significantly. Now, while there were times after the 13k, I think it was actually 11 to 12k when I initially told people to invest, they did actually go up about 1,000 to 2,000 within a day or two's time. I barely told anyone on stream, but those people had the chance to get their money back, but people like me that just stayed invested now have an immense amount of Zora teleports and nothing to show for it. So I'll mark this one up as a loss. Personally, I mean, it is what it is. You're going to mess up on one every now and then. And the next item is Mysterious Emblems. As you can see, they are 112k now. This one I killed, but I didn't get to profit on it because of the Noob with the Mill series, I will say again. Basically, I bought these after the Wilderness Slayer update for around 78k or so. I thought that they were going to go back up because I knew Wilderness Slayer wasn't going to be all that useful for anyone. People thought it's totally the opposite. I had so many arguments with people about this, but basically I did end up selling them for about the price that I bought them for, really not making me any money, but I had to progress because of the Noob with the Mill series. If I would have been able to even stay with them for another 2 weeks, I would have been able to make 30k on each one, which would have made me probably like 30 mil or so. But I mean, shit happens. Basically, this is definitely a win though, as far as I'm concerned. They're 112k now. Anyone that was invested definitely made their money, but that's another win for me, bringing us up to 2 to 1 in the total. The next item is a pretty clear L, and basically around April 10th, if I can find it, adamant darts were around 170 GP at the time. Adamant bars were 2.2 thousand or so. So I was like, maybe we have room to grow. Adamant bars have gone up to 2.8k in the past. I was like, this has potential because of the fact that, Inferno's coming out, people might want darts. I said Rune would probably be better, but I ended up saying Adamant, and at the time, I mean, I think Rune pretty much stayed the same, so it wouldn't have mattered. But with Adamant, you had 170 here, and then at the time of the Inferno release, you had 150. It may have spiked a little bit more on that day. I was pretty much telling people to invest pre-Inferno. So, you know, maybe if you sold them off a couple weeks beforehand, you get 160 for it. It's not too bad. You take an 8 GP loss on each dart, but if you wait for the Inferno, maybe you get 150 for them. And I mean, it's not great, but it wasn't a terrible investment, but that definitely is an L. Next up is Zolra Scales again, and since, you know, we won the first one, we're going to win the second one as well. Basically, pre-Inferno, I told people to invest in these as well, and as you can see, it was a pretty safe bet. When was this? April 10th. They had reached practically an all-time low at the time of recording. They were still around 108 to 109. They did jump after the video, and maybe just, you know, naturally, who knows, but I mean, they were at an all-time low. I figured pretty safe investment. If you invested for the Inferno, you made money. If you invested for anything, really, you were making money then. So, I mean, you know, at times you could have only made 5 GP per one, but there were times where you could have profited 10 GP, you know, another 10 here. I mean, maybe 40 in the future if you invested that long, but definitely a win as far as I'm concerned. Next up is Sarah Doman Brews, and this was from April 10th as well. These are ones that I definitely also had another major win on. If we go and look, April 10th, I think at the time of recording they were around 7,400, and within a month they had reached 9,000, and they had stayed higher for that entire time. Now, maybe if you held on to them for this entire time, but I'm going to say people probably weren't invested for 2 to 3 months. I would imagine if you bought an item for 7.4K and you had opportunities to sell them on for 8.8 thousand for like 3 weeks straight, you probably sold them by then. So I'm going to mark that one up as a win. Next are Dragon Dart, still from the April 10th video. As you can see here, if we go ahead and look, at the time they were about 3.1 thousand, 3,120, I guess if you want to be pretty exact. And I mean, within what, a month and a half's time, they had reached 3.8 thousand pre-Inferno, which made sense to me. That was pretty much what I was planning on. I thought that the higher tier darts were going to do better than stuff like Adamant, but I added Adamant, you know, just because I thought maybe. So this is definitely an example of me countering. I mean, I was more confident with Dragon, so maybe you guys, if you went with something I was more confident with, which makes sense, you would have profited. But here we have 3.9 thousand at the time. Now, granted, you could still sell these for, I guess, 60. If you see that, you could still sell them for 60 GP higher than you would have invested then. But I'd imagine by now everyone sold them, so that is definitely a win. Now we move on to the next video, which was about April 18th, and this is Nature Runes. Oh man, this is rough. This is gonna be rough to look at. But yeah, I told people to invest about around here. I thought that there's no way Nature Roots could really go any lower, and I feel like most people in the community would have probably agreed with me. However, as you guys can see, whatever this was, it was the double deaths that was, you know, what made these drop, and that's really confusing to me. I don't know why something that would distract people from doing natures in the first place would then make nature rune prices drop. You would think if people are doing something else, that means less people are doing natures, thus, you know, more people, or I guess the prices would go up, but that's not how it's been, and I really can't draw this as a win in any way for me, as you guys can see. I mean, maybe you kept them all the way until July 4th, and you sold them for a 6 GP loss on each one, but I'm gonna imagine most people either sold here, which I guess, you know, a couple weeks out would have been a 2 GP win, but for the most part, I can't count this as a win. Alright, I'll be adding this in afterwards, but what my thought process is now is that the fact that deaths dropped, that meant Ice Burst and Ice Barrage were both cheaper to do, thus meaning that less people were going to Alk, thus, you know, lowering the price of nature runes. I guess that makes sense in a way, but really bursting and all of that was more efficient to begin with, but I guess maybe for some medium level accounts, maybe not. Now on to the next one, we have Eclectic Implings. This was from the April 18th video, and while they have gone down about 200 GP since, maybe 100 to 200 GP since I recorded, at the time of recording, they were 28 to 2,900, and within a month, or less than a month, they reached 3,300 and actually had a price during this time of around 35 to 3,600. I remember like looking at them then, just astounded. So I would say that's definitely a win. If within a month's time you have an opportunity to sell them for 600, 700 GP profit, I'd say that's definitely a win. While you could have sold them here, I would imagine that the mentality for these items is buy low and sell high. So if they start to drop, you know that there is that inevitable climb that they will take, and that is what happened here. Now we will come back to these in the future with another investment that I said in another video, but for now we move on to probably my worst ever suggestion Luckily enough, though, I don't think too many people picked up on it. And here we are. I typed in enchantment. Can you guys guess which one it is? Oh my god. I don't even want to talk about this, like, honestly. I anticipated on, Wilderness Slayer being dead content, but I didn't anticipate on this. So we'll go and look back at it. Basically, at the time when I made the video, Slayer enchantments were about 13k per one, and I was like, you guys should buy these. And I will count this as a loss because they're 2,000 each right now. So I mean, if you invested 13 mil, you have 2 mil now. So you obviously lost a lot of money. But I still don't want to count these as a loss. I still have a lot of them in my bank. But basically, my idea was that if JX releases content into the game, and within within a week, not even within days of it coming out, it's useless, you would think that JX would come back to this item later and give it a buff. And it hasn't happened yet, but I'm still holding out. We'll count that as an L though, so maybe in the future these will go up. I mean, if you invest now, there's really nothing to lose, so check them out. Now, this is the first one of the video that is going to be a tie. It's going to be a joint tie, really, because basically I released this video a week and a half ago. There's really not a whole lot to go off of from that. July 10th, I did say to invest in these. They were $17.60 at the time. They've gone down 100 GP since then, but they've been on the climb, as you guys can see, $16.60, and they were as much as $15.70 just a couple days ago. This is more of a long-term investment after Brutal Black Dragons are going to be a Slayer creature now. I mean, it's been changed in the game, but you're still not going to feel the effects of that change on Dragon Arrows. Same with Dragon Darts, both things I told people to invest in that have gone down a little bit, but nothing dramatic, and this was meant to be more of a long-term item anyways. And I guess for those of you wondering, I'll go ahead and explain why. It's a lot like the Zulrah scale update. At the time of this going out of the game, there's already so many in the game, as you can see by the buying quantities. Like, there's ridiculous amounts within the game, sold on a day-to-day basis, 300,000 to 400,000. So there's already that many in the game that you won't really feel the effects of not having as much input into the market for a little bit of time, which is why this is more long-term, just like the Zulrah scale one was. And you guys can see that price slowly started to increase to 150 within a matter of, I guess, a month after the actual update. And now, as I said, we were going to go back to Eclectics, and basically on a month scale, I told people to buy them on July 10th when they were actually in the video. I think that they were $22.50, but for some reason I must have just been on at a weird time. But within a couple days, they reached, they were, I think, actually 3,000 maybe, or maybe even a little higher. And I mean, ridiculous stuff. Obviously a win, even if you're selling them now, still a win. I think this was aided a lot by the Master Scroll book coming out, from what I can tell, in this sharp increase. But, I mean, sometimes you get lucky. All right, and the next item is Infinity Boots. Now, these, I don't really know what I should do for this, if I should count them up as a win or a loss already. As you guys can see here, July 10th, which is when I announced it, it says 1.3. They were 1.2 at the time of me making the video, and now they're 1 mil. I think it's honestly just panic from the video. I'm not going to count these as a loss, even though they may look like one now. If we go at a yearly and a quarterly scale, tell me this item isn't going to come back up. Like, I don't know. I mean, this item is ridiculous in the fact that it takes such a long amount of time to actually bring into the game that I feel like it's hard to say it's only worth a mil, and that it'll only be worth a mil. As you can see here, I mean, as close as March, they were 2.2. And boom, 1 mil. It's like, this is more of a long-term investment, which is why I'm not going to count it up as a loss. Basically, by counting it as a loss, I'm telling people that you should sell because you've lost money. That's not the case at all. Now would be more the time to buy than ever, because it's literally like the lowest it's ever been. But this is just definitely one that needs more time, and time will ultimately tell with this investment. Now, this is the final one of the video, and it's something that even while it's dropped in price, I think I can count up as a win, because if we go ahead and look, on July 10th, Dragon Warhammers were 66 mil. Now, if you look up here, they're 65. You'd be like, a mil loss. that's terrible. Well, first, let's think about it. A mil loss relative to this item is like losing 3 GP on a nature rune. It's nothing you're really going to feel if you have the money to invest into this. But on top of that, within 2 days' time, they reached 70 mil, and they actually went up to 71, 72 mil at the time because of the the fear that they were going to be worth a lot post Shaman update. So I think that that's definitely a win. If you can sell off something for a 5 mil margin within 2 days, and you don't, I feel like there's just something wrong there. Obviously, that would have been the time to sell, if any. So I feel like we can count that one up as a win. All right, and this will be the end of the video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Basically, the point of this video is to show you guys how I've done in the past investing for new people to my channel, and even people that have been following me but have just never invested with one of my videos. Basically, my overall win-loss with these items was 8-4 with 2 ties. So that's really good. To have anything over a 500 average is just amazing, because it shows that obviously, it's better to invest than it is to stake, for instance, because you have a better chance of making money with the items that I've given so far. Now, is that necessarily going to happen in the future? Not necessarily. Maybe on one video I have a bad video and I go like 2 and 3 on the items, but to say that overall right now I've went 8-4 is actually really impressive, and I'm really proud of that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you found this video helpful. I plan on doing more videos like this in the future, so if you guys like that, please tell me down below in the comments and give me suggestions what you guys want to see in the videos. What I'm thinking about is giving a score, like a 1 out of 10 score of how well I think items would do, so people have more of a way to base which ones to go on. Let me know what you think of that. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel, comment anything you want to tell me. Twitter and Twitch in the description. But with that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and peace.